Do you ever feel like you don't fit where you came from? You don't fit where you're going? Have you ever felt too churchy to be worldly, but a little too worldly to fit in some churches where you have to? And so David, I hit something right there. And David, he escapes. But watch this. This is the phrase that got my attention. Everybody say escape. Escape. Because everybody has a way that they escape. That's what Guns N' Roses was for me. That's what Elijah's headphones are for him. It's a way for me to escape. Just for a little while, I can get out of my situation and get into something else. But the way that you escape, here's the principle, could lead to greater captivity. So it is so important where you go when you run. Because sometimes what you run to will end up running you. The Bible says that David escaped from the land of Gath, and he was safe from the spear of Saul. And he escaped to, give me my verse, the cave, which is a safe place, but he escaped to something that he was trapped in. Now, we understand what David had to complain about in Psalm 142. Because he's supposed to be a king, and he's stuck in a cave. And he's safe, but he's stuck. And he knows there is more to me than this. And he is shocked. Now watch this. David is not surprised by the enemies that surround him. He's surprised by the friends that didn't. David was not expecting that it would be easy to be a king. He was not expecting to ascend to the throne without any battles. He wasn't expecting cotton candy, lollipop, Santa Claus, Yahweh. He wasn't expecting to be able to take the moving sidewalk to the throne to rule the people. But he was expecting that the people God called him to serve would have his back. And he looks around in Psalm 142 from the cave of Adullam and says, I'm not surprised by who's surrounding me to kill me. I'm surprised that nobody is surrounding me that cares about me. Have you ever looked around and been surprised? Where are the people I helped? Where are the people I prayed for? Where are the people? This is what it's like to be a parent. I thought it must be lonely for David in the cave, to be all alone in the cave. But then I kept reading and I discovered he wasn't alone. Can I show you? Well, have a seat. I'll show you. I love this stuff, man. Touch somebody, say, get into it. Get into it. Get into it. Don't just settle for a little cassette single. You know, cassette single. Yeah. Don't just settle for a little. This is the day the Lord has made. Because you like the beat. The backstory is this. David is in the deepest place of despair, not because he's surrounded by trouble, but because he can't find his support. And he's in a stronghold looking for a support system, looking for somebody to be there for him. You mean I killed this giant that was defying the whole nation? You mean I helped you move? Just trying to make it practical or something we can live with, because most of us aren't hiding from wicked kings. But it doesn't mean that we can't relate. David says, I looked around and nobody was there. But it wasn't true. Just read the whole rest of the verse. Verse 1. Same verse. He's in the cave of Adullam. That's where he was. He says, I looked to my right and nobody was there. That's what he wrote, Psalm 142. And his brothers and father's household heard about it, and they went down to him there. So he was surrounded. But there is a difference between being surrounded and feeling supported. And God sends David some people in a cave. And maybe he wrote that before they came, and maybe he wrote it as they came. Here's one thing I know. Everybody in that cave needed something from David. Here's how I know. The Bible describes David's team in verse 2. It says, not only did his brothers and father come, who, by the way, didn't believe in him. His dad didn't even bring him in on draft day when Samuel came through town with a horn of oil looking for the next king. Now you want some help in the cave because Saul's gone crazy and you think maybe I can defend you because I'm good with a sword and a slingshot? You ever feel like people only call on you in certain times, like you don't hear from them for 2 years? And when they call you, you kind of want to say, why don't you just cut the crap and tell me what you want? Because I know you didn't call me to check on me. I know there's no way in the world you just called me to see how I was doing. Now let's just skip through the preliminaries. How you doing, bro? How I'm doing is just tell me what you need and I'll tell you whether I'm going to do it or not. But let's just cut through all this so I can save the time that you would spend pretending like you care about me. Maybe it's just me. I would bless the Lord at all times. And David is surrounded, but he does not feel supported. He's got a full email inbox. Does anybody still email anymore, by the way? Okay. And it's not that he's not getting any text. It's just that they're all transactional. It's not that he doesn't know anybody. It's just that nobody really knows him. Nobody cares. He didn't say nobody came. He said nobody cares. I got a crowd around me, and I smile so good they have no idea that I feel like it's all fake. See how quiet it's getting? That's when I'm preaching my best. When they're standing up and shouting and all that, I ain't saying nothing real important. When it gets like that, you hear it? You hear that funeral vibe? You hear that? That's what I like. Who really cares? If I couldn't provide for them, would they care? I think I wonder sometimes if I couldn't pick up the mic, if I couldn't do what I did, who would I be? And who would really love me if I didn't have a big church? I'm just trying to tell you, I'm not David, but I can relate. And I have a feeling every husband can relate, every wife can relate, every friend can relate. I know every parent can relate. To look around and wonder, does anybody really care about me as a person? When are they going to ask me, how are you? And everybody around me needs something from me. Look who God sent to David in the cave. Thanks a lot, God. Look at verse 2. All those who were in distress or in debt or discontented gathered around him. Really? This my team? Huh? Really? I don't know the sequence. Nobody does. But was God messing with David? Nobody surrounds me. And God said, all right, I'm going to put 400. The Bible says there were 400 of them. I'm going to send 400 the roughest thugs you've ever seen you're going to have some company in the cave now, David. Hey, make some room. Get the cot ready. I heard you, David. Here comes some backup. But God, I don't want what David didn't know. Can I preach? Yes. Can I preach? Yes. These men would be the same men who would bring him to the throne. These men that God sent to David in the cave would be the same men who would chase down lions in pits on snowy days and rip their mouths open. And if they wouldn't have been rough, they couldn't have been relentless. And if David hadn't been in the cave, they wouldn't have come to him. It was a setup. That's what I'm trying to say. It was a setup. There are some things that can only come together in the cave. When you get alone and you feel alone and you say, God, I need you. And God says, now that you know that I'm what you need, I can give you what you don't even know to pray for. If you get desperate and open your mouth and get real. Come on, is anybody ready to get real with God? I'm done pretending. I'm done playing. Do it by faith. Touch 5 people. Say, you got what you need. You got what you need. You got what you need. Come on, you see, you got what you need. You got what you need. It might look like debt. It might look like disorientation. It might look like discontent. But those were David's mighty men in disguise. I'm telling you, a little boy's lunch isn't all you can eat buffet. When God puts his hand on it, what you have is what you need for where you are. You are not stuck. It is not over. Saul can't kill you, and you're not alone. Shout about it.